This is how the governing body controls people's thinking. You first convince them that the Bible reveals very important information about world events, is relevant for today, is relevant for this person's goals and desires and needs, and then, crucially, you convince them that only the governing body can explain the Bible and really interpret its contents. Informational influence is dependence on a person or group of people for information about reality. If people go to you for information about how to make sense of the world, how to understand their role in the world, how to interpret world events, you have tremendous influence over that person. And if you can do it to a large group of people, you now have power. The power of informational influence resides in the perceived expertise of others. Now think about the way the governing body portray themselves. They are the only experts on the Bible. No one else can understand it except for them. It's a really deep, esoteric, special text. People have been trying to understand it for millennia. Only the governing body can correctly interpret it. They have cultivated a reputation for expertise for decades. When people feel that a piece of information is scarce or difficult to obtain, they tend to feel more persuaded by it. This is also a strategy of the governing body. No one else can understand the Bible but them. You can't understand it. All these other religions can't understand it. This is a special gift bestowed upon them by God. They are the chosen channel. They are the faithful slave. They are the ones that can explain this special and important text to you. You can't do it yourself. This is very rare and special information. So the governing body infects people with this belief that they are incompetent, irrelevant, they can't understand their own life, they can't understand the world at large, they can't understand the Bible, but they can. And they will bless you with this gracious revelation of what it all means and what your role in this process is. This is probably why Eric Hoffer said that mass movements use irrationality to shut out the intellect, to turn people into predictable, mindless machines. Now, when it comes to the perceived understanding of others, I want to talk about an experiment conducted by Sloman and Fernbach about how this perceived understanding of others can influence how people think they understand something. Experiments conducted by cognitive scientists Sloman and Fernbach revealed that participants' perceived understanding was increased when simply told that scientists could thoroughly explain it. In other words, when people believed that someone understood something, the participants' own perceived self-understanding of a subject was increased. And they give an example. They say that in the study, they take a group of people and tell them that there's this mysterious new rock that's been discovered that glows, and scientists have no understanding of how it does this. They then later on ask these participants, do they understand the mechanism through which this rock glows? And understandably, they say they don't. They take another group and they tell this other group that this is a made-up story. This newly discovered rock that glows has been thoroughly investigated by scientists, and now they completely understand the mechanism through which it glows. They ask this group of people, do they understand why this rock glows? And this group of people seems to think that they understand it, even though it's a made-up story. Just the idea that other people understand this made-up phenomenon makes the participants think that they understand this phenomenon. You'll often hear witnesses say there's an explanation for everything. In other words, no matter what your issue, no matter what your question is, there is something in Watchtower literature, there is something the governing body has said that explains this matter. And that's why this study is relevant. Witnesses are often so convinced that they understand something simply because they have this notion that the governing body understands it. If the governing body understands it, then they understand it. And this is what Sloman and Fernbach call the knowledge illusion. Just because someone understands it, you think you understand it. So you don't have to know something, you just have to believe that other people in authority understand it. And so this is the somewhat complex interchange of psychological phenomenon that may explain just why so many witnesses are so convinced that they understand more than they really do. So that's all I have for you now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.